Time for the top 5 here in the top 15 at the mid-season break in this NBL26 season. The list put together by NBL MVP Derek Rucker. My name's Joel Peterson. Alongside you, Ruck, the first 10 has been fun. Now we really get to the business end.
It's been great, and the feedback has been really good, and I'm, pretty satisfied with what appears from 6 to 15, but this is where it really gets tricky, the top 5.
All right, so let's go through what we've got so far in terms of this list. 15, we started with Milton Doyle and Christian Doolittle. Tyson Walker came in at 13, the first time he's been on this list. Jack McVeigh coming in at number 12. Then Zylan Cheatham, Isaac Humphries at 11 and 10. The Adelaide 36ers teammates rolling in there. You move along to Nathan Sobey at number 9. Xavier Cooks at number 8 on this list. He has been in the last 5 times that you've put this list together, Ruck. Chris Golding at number 7 and Parker Jackson Cartwright at number 6. I just want to pick your brain on a couple of those. We've talked about them so far. So Jack McVeigh was number 5 down to number 12 in this. So he slips 7 spots in the list so far, and a fair chunk of that apportioned to his injuries so far this year.
Yeah, that's right. And the fact that he had the wrist injury, it affected his performances earlier in the season. Also, the Cairns Taipans, as a group, they've had a lot of change, a lot of losses that made it hard for me to kind of put McVeigh any higher than 12. And also, the power of the league, the power of individual performances. There are some guys that have just flat out been more productive and played in teams that have been more successful.
You said that Zylan Cheatham could be maybe a little bit aggrieved with his spot at number 11. Why do you say that?
Well, it's hard. Early in the season, I thought he wasn't scoring to the level that was going to be beneficial for the Adelaide 36ers. But once he kind of figured out how he could score and how that could impact winning, well, then that really got him into the top 15. But I think, again, he's another one who you could see his stock really rising. And then when we do our end of season one, I think at his full potential, he's probably a top 7 guy.
It's a little bit like that with Xavier Cooks too, who hasn't had the greatest of seasons, still really productive for him. But number 8, this is a guy who's won an MVP. He's a perennial MVP contender, and he's top 5 at his best. We know that. He's been in this list 5 times, and 8 is the lowest that he's come in at.
Yeah, and he had some real scoring problems. He wasn't shooting the ball well for a patch there when the Sydney Kings had slumped down to 3 and 5. But since that time, they've gone 4 and 1, and Xavier Cooks has been outstanding. So, he probably was sitting a little bit lower. In fact, and the recent run by the Kings has moved him up into position number 8.
Yep, so this is where we get to the business end of things. The top 5 in this list, we will start at 5. We will go through till number 1, which is that all-coveted spot. But I feel like there is a number in this top 5 that holds a special place in your heart. It might be a little bit of a sneaky endorsement if you come in at number 5, which is the number that the man to my left wore in his distinguished playing career. Ruck, kick this top 5 off with number 5.
Number 5 is Joe Lawal Achul Jr., the great Perth big man. Terrific acquisition in the offseason by Danny Mills and John Riley to get JLA's services in front of the Red Army. And JLA, look, he's a highly valuable local big man who changes your franchise's fortunes. He's a great scorer from 20 feet and in with a highly evolved skill set. He's a great rim protector, probably doesn't get enough credit for what he's able to do on the defensive end. And his pairing up front with Christian Doolittle is a real championship level front line. He could be an MVP consideration if his numbers lift slightly and a little bit more efficiency. And again, if he plays at that level, that means he's probably playing at an MVP level.
Which he has done before. He's been in MVP consideration, of course, with Melbourne United. The 3rd time he's been on the list. He was number 8 in the pre-season. You've got to go back to the list you did at the end of 2024 because, of course, he wasn't in the league all of last year. He's a bit of a bellwether for Perth. It tends to be that when he plays well, Perth play well, and they win when he scores 20 or more on the vast majority of times. What can his ceiling be over the back end of this season?
Well, look, this is a league right now that is blessed with outstanding big men, and it's very difficult to shine in any league, but in particular this one, where we have such a wide variety of big men. A guy like JLA has to play against Jesse Edwards. He has to play against JaVale McGee, guys that are bigger than him. Then he has to play against guys like Will Magnay, who are smaller than him, but yet know how to defend. You have to be very versatile. And I think JLA, again, is relearning what he needs to do to be successful in the NBL. But yet he's performing at a really good productivity level for his re-entry into the NBL. Now the team just got to stay healthy. Keep in mind, they lost Dylan Windler for a stretch during this first patch of the season. And Windler is a player that makes everyone better. When he gets himself going, JLA will continue to shine even more.
The knock on him, of course, earlier in his career was he was a little bit of a vacuum when you passed him the ball. It didn't often come back out. He's doing a better job at being a part of the offense. And the other factor that he brings to the table is he is an elite rim protector. He anchors that Perth defense from the middle, and he really allows them some flexibility. What do you view his importance at the defensive end as being?
Well, that goes back to his coaching at Melbourne United, where Dean Vickerman obviously really emphasizes the defensive end of the court. And JLA was always an elite defensive performer under Melbourne United when they were having their runs. And I like what you said about the black hole that he used to be. Those days are over. He does a really good job now of passing the ball when he sees that it's necessary, when the doubles come. He is not like he used to be, where every time he touched it with Melbourne United, he was trying to score. He's a much more complete basketball player on both ends of the floor, and that's why he's number 5.
Leads the league in blocks, and he comes in at a very special number 5 for Derek Rucker. In the top 15, let's go to number 4.
Number 4 is Jesse Edwards, the Melbourne United big man in his first season in the NBL. And look, he's a young professional, comes out of Europe, crazy efficient, and the advanced metrics nerds love his numbers. His net rating is over 35, which is beyond elite. He's still developing and learning in the NBL, but his size and length make him a great threat on both ends around the bucket. And I think he is going to be the NBL dunk master. I think at the end of the season, he is going to lead the league in dunks, terrific rim threat. And look, he's just such a great pickup for Melbourne United. I can't remember the last time an individual team signed 3 imports of this quality and caliber and give you a real chance to win almost every time they go out on the basketball floor.
He is so important to what they do, and all 3 of those Melbourne United imports feature in this list. Milton Doyle at 15, Tyson Walker making his debut in the countdown, and then Jesse Edwards in at number 4. You mentioned the advanced metrics, absolutely love him, and the net rating is one thing. He's got one of the best individual ratings in terms of defense in the league this season per Spatial Jam. The offensive rebounding numbers are absolutely enormous, and he is second in the league in field goal percentage, which is a bit of an old-fashioned stat these days, but just speaks to the efficiency with which he operates. And he has been a great pickup who knows, might have potential to go back to bigger things again.
And I like the fact when you go and watch him play and you see him interact with his teammates, and when you see him get hard coaching by Dean Vickerman, he is a low friction basketball player. He is willing to learn. He is willing to do whatever is required to help his team win. And I love big men, that offensive rebound. And remember, in the last game they played against the Sydney Kings, in the last game they played against
Perth
Wildcats. He had 8 offensive rebounds against JLA. So that's nothing to sneeze at. And Jesse Edwards, again, he's 25 years old, I believe.
Yep.
He's 4 years away from entering his prime, Joel. This is a guy who I don't think, and I hate to say this, I don't think we'll see him again, but I would love to have him in the league, but we obviously want the best for him. Jesse Edwards is a tremendous talent, and he sits at number 4.
Yep, wasn't in the list in the preseason. The Dutchman flies up to number 4 on the list and completes that trifecta of Melbourne United imports, and you've got Chris Goulding at number 7. We mentioned in our 15 to 6 show that we were going to put together an alternate list of the top 15 highlight makers. So we've got Zylan Cheatham in there. Jesse Edwards comes in. You reckon he's the most prolific dunker in the competition? Is he the best dunker in the competition, or has Zylan got him covered?
Wow. I think Zylan has probably got the best dunks thus far. And there's something about the power of Cheatham's dunks that Edwards doesn't have yet. But you know what I also notice about Jesse Edwards is he's learning to put the ball on the deck and make plays off the dribble. We saw it in a game down in Illawarra where he was able to do a few things off the bounce. So that's a good sign that he's continuing to develop his skill set.
Absolutely, it is. He is a great player to watch. He's been a big part of what Melbourne United have put together as we get to the FIBA break. Now, in the Hungry Jacks NBL, no conversation about a dunker would be complete without number 3.
Number 3 is JaVale McGee, the 7'1" big man of the Illawarra Hawks. As our colleague Andrew Gaze likes to say, he may be the most credentialed player to ever come out of the NBA to play in the NBL, and he's had a significant impact with the Hawks. Now, they haven't won as many games as they probably would have liked, or no doubt they would have liked, but it hasn't been because of McGee. Has been a greater addition to the NBL than any of us experts could have imagined. Each game he plays, it requires a total rethink defensively from opposition coaches. Has the best defensive rating on his team, despite sometimes being criticized for his defensive performance. It hasn't been that bad when you look at the advanced metrics. His PER of 28 is the best in the NBL. Joel, you just got to go watch this guy to just see the whole JaVale McGee experience when he plays the basketball game. The length, the size, the athleticism at his age, it is really a marvel, and we are blessed to have him in the competition.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have him here. He dunks it, he blocks it, he hits half court, almost buzzer beaters as well. He does a little bit of everything, does JaVale McGee. He's put together some huge performances this year, and you mentioned some of the advanced metrics there. He's right up there in terms of usage rate this season as well. So much of what the Illawarra Hawks do goes through him, and he's going to be critical to their potential run to get back into this season.
And you know, I expect his usage to go up, and I expect his PER to go up, because it's been evident in some of these Hawks losses that they don't really know how to play with JaVale McGee. And it's so rare now in the modern game where you have a guy that you can throw it to on the block. And remember, at JaVale's age, he is on the cusp of the super modern game and the modern game where post-ups were still utilized. So he knows how to play in that regard, but some of his teammates just simply don't know how to feed him the basketball game because that hasn't been a part of their basketball conditioning. Now with the FIBA break here, I think Justin Tatum gets the opportunity to work on just some of those fine points, getting some plays, getting some systems in place where they can free up McGee a bit on the block, and then basically just teaching his perimeter players how to feed the big man the ball, because if you get him the ball, he's going to put it in the basket.
Yeah, he has been, you mentioned right at the start, part of your sort of category for this, the contingency is that it needs to be sort of appointment viewing. Are you box office? Yeah. He is box office.
He is. And again, I mentioned Jesse Edwards as the dunk master. Well, if there's any guy that is going to get him, it is going to be JaVale McGee. And McGee, when he dunks it, especially I've been able to, do some of those games down in the sandpit in Illawarra, and the roar from the crowd when he goes up and slams it through, it is impressive. And I didn't expect him to really have this type of impact on the league. I didn't think that he would put these numbers up. Sometimes our league, the pace can be so fast that big men often get lost in the mix. And I thought that may have been the case for McGee, but I was wrong. Now the Hawks just need to ramp up his usage and figure out how to employ him better on the offensive end.
Number 3 for JaVale McGee. That is nice and neat. An encapsulation of his season so far. We are down to our top 2 in this top 15 in NBL26 at the mid-season part of the year. Ruck, hit us with number 2.
Number 2 is Kendrick Davis, the Sydney Kings point guard, in his first season in the Harbor City after moving over from the Adelaide 36ers. Last year, he was the runner-up in the MVP race and really came on strong. Now, since the change to Sydney, he hasn't been as consistently dynamic as we saw him be in the tail end last season with Adelaide and leading them into the postseason. But while the Kings were struggling to get victories, he was the best and most consistent player, and he kept the energy going in the right direction. He always works hard on the defensive end, His effort is really good. And I think more time at the point guard position will improve his performances, which in turn I believe will directly, positively impact the chances for the Sydney Kings going deep into the postseason. One of the most dynamic point guards we've ever seen. He can shoot the three. His mid-range game is elite, and of course, he does a great job of getting to the rim. He is an absolute blur on the court. And again, you talk about charisma and box office appeal. Kendrick Davis has plenty of that.
Indeed he does, and he plays for one of the biggest teams in the land, which always helps. The purple and gold looks mighty fine on Kendrick Davis in the early part of his tenure as a Sydney King. And this is a guy that is still early in his career. He is still figuring out not only how to play his own game, but how to lead a team, to set a team up for success from that point guard position. There's still a ceiling on him that is probably untapped, even with the way that he has performed. He's been the number 2 man on this list the last 3 times you've done it.
Yeah, well, he's consistently brilliant. And let's keep in mind that for a lot of this early season, he's played off the ball with Matthew Dellavedova being primarily on the basketball. And then they went through this period where Brian Goorjian had them starting together and then would platoon them out and then bring them back together. So there has been some change that Kendrick has had to adapt to through the season. But all along the way, he's kept his play at a high level, but yet there is still more to come. I'm confident that he's going to make a real run at the MVP race as we get into February.
What was your decision-making like between number 2 and number 3 on this list, between Davis and McGee?
It was the fact that Sydney are better on the ladder, and that was basically my determination. I flipped it back and forth about 3 or 4 times before settling on the fact that Kendrick Davis is in at number 2. And also his experience, and I know that, he's thrived in this league before, and so I like to give a little bit, kind of some loyalty points there.
Yep, so he came in at number 12 the first time he was on this list last season. He's been at 2, 2, and 2 ever since, the 4th time that Kendrick Davis has appeared in the top 15. And that leaves us with only one player to come. The number 1 player, according to Derek Rucker at this mid-season portion of NBL 26, is...
The number 1 player at the FIBA break for NBL 26 is Bryce Cotton. I don't think it comes as any surprise to anyone who follows the NBL or any sports fan in Australia that Bryce Cotton is the greatest player in the game. 5-time NBL MVP, 3-time NBL champion, and Joel, right now, he is the front runner to win his 6th NBL MVP, which would bring him to within 1 of the great Andrew Gaze. He's made the move to Adelaide. I think it's very difficult for great players to change teams without having some level of drop-off in their performance. That has absolutely not been the case with Bryce Cotton. He has been perhaps even better this season with the Adelaide 36ers because he's rounded out his game. There were doubts as to whether or not he could play the point guard position effectively, still score the basketball, and help a team win basketball games. Well, through the first part of this season, Bryce Cotton has proven that he can do all of those things. And guess what? Coming out of the FIBA break on December 7, we get to see Adelaide return to Perth. Fireworks galore. Let's go. Congratulations to Bryce.
He's the number 1 man in this top 15 list at the mid-season portion here at the FIBA break. He is one of 3 players to appear on the list 6 times. He has been number 1, number 2, number 4, number 1, number 1, and he is number 1 again. And there is that legacy that continues to build. So there is what he is doing right now, but what he is doing in the context of our league as a whole, he only continues to build on that and grow what is already a remarkable legacy.
Well, let's go back to when he first came into the league and look at the strength of the league and the talent. And then you fast forward to NBL 26. Joel, the disparity in the talent and the quality of teams and the parity throughout the league and the exposure, the increased scouting, and he continues to get better and better each season. I thought NBL 25 was his best season in the league, but he's making a case, as I said before, because of his all-around play. He's better on the defensive end. He is showing that he is just not a scorer, that he can influence basketball games in a number of different ways. And teams are coming after him now. We've been talking about the way to beat Adelaide is to double Bryce and to trap him and do all of those things. In the last game against Southeast Melbourne, they came after him aggressively, and Bryce has learned, Adelaide have learned how to overcome those things and allow Bryce to still shine while bringing other players to their best.
Yep, so career highs in assists and steals. He leads the league in minutes. He leads the league in scoring, of course, at 27 a game. He's had 2 40-point games. He's had 4 30-point games. He's taken the most threes. He's got the most steals so far in the competition. You mentioned that defensive ability that he's had this year. His capacity, and you talked about it with Nathan Sobey in the earlier part of this countdown, who's at 35 years of age, but his capacity on the other side of 30, with time spent in this competition, to go to a new level last year, and then maybe even build on that this year, so settling into new surrounds there in Adelaide, it's been quite remarkable.
It has, and a new coach as well. And your whole environment changes when you change teams. It's just not like going from one hotel room to another hotel room. There's much more involved. You got to get your family set up. You got to find a place that's suitable for you. You've got to pick routes to get to training. You want to live, a convenient spot for everyone that's in your circle. So that's why you often see players' performances and their productivity drop a little bit when they change teams. And I'm always worried about what it does to your basketball soul. I feel like you chip away at that soul when you change teams. But that's not happening. Bryce Cotton's soul and his basketball performance has remained intact, and he's fully whole, performing well for the Adelaide 36ers. And I said it before, they are a real legitimate threat to Melbourne United. This is not a one-horse race.
Oh, not by a long way. And I know you are looking forward to December 7 when we come out of this FIBA break, a Sunday afternoon in the West, when Bryce goes back to meet his old team.
Well, we remember what Bryce said. He said he's going to burn that place down.
Yeah.
Get the matches out. Let's go.
Yeah, 100%. So here is our top 15 list in this NBL26 mid-season portion. That's a pretty impressive group there. Bryce Cotton at the top, Kendrick Davis at number 2, JaVale McGee rounds out the top 3, Milton Doyle coming in at number 15. Chris Golding, Parker Jackson, Cartwright become 6-time selections in the top 15. Xavier Cooks has been there 5 times. Kendrick Davis has been there 4 times. They are the top 3 or the top 5 in terms of appearances. Jack McVeigh was the biggest slider in the list this season, down 7 spots. We know the injuries that we talked about at the start of this segment, and Zylan Cheatham going up 4 spots. JLA going up 3 spots to number 5. When you sit back and take stock of all that, Ruck, are you pretty pleased with what you've come up with?
Well, these are real-time emotions, and yeah, I'm delighted with this. I'm so impressed with all of the NBL teams and the NBL itself to allow this type of talent to be assembled, and for me to be able to kind of document it, the history and just this moment in time. This is a terrific group of 15 players, and well done to all these guys. There's so little between 6 to 15. There's so little between 1 to 5 in terms of talent and ability, but here it is.
There it is, and that is us done here on the top 15. Ruck, great work as always. It's a mountain of work that you put into this list. It is thoroughly agonised over. There are no decisions made on a whim or just at the mercy of an impulse. This is something that you put a lot of effort into. I think it shows in the way the research comes out, and I reckon it's a pretty solid group. Well done to you.
And well done to you. Thanks for being here with us, Joel. You've done a great job.
I'm merely a mid-season fill-in. I just get wheeled out at this time of year, Ruck, to take us through the mid-season and let the big guns come back for the end of the year. That is our top 15 here at this mid-season portion in NBL 26. Bryce Cotton sits atop the tree again. Make sure you have your say on the socials. The feedback is very much welcomed. The interactivity is always great as part of this list. So let us know what you might think, what your top 15 would look like. That is Derek Rucker's for this mid-season portion of NBL 26. Bryce Cotton atop the tree in the top 15.